Hello everyone. J'accuse. It's a word, two words in French, probably used many times, but made famous by the writer Zola when dealing with the famous Dreyfus affair at the beginning of the 20th, late 19th, early 20th century. So here we go. I thought of this while I was waiting for the bus this morning. J'accuse. Let's go. J'accuse current leaders, political, cultural, religious in the West of blindly or knowingly appearing to follow and obey orders given to them by global foreign powers, disassociated and sometimes contrary to the national interest of their country, the country that they have sworn, seek and claim to represent. J'accuse our leaders, political, cultural, religious in the West, of appearing to contribute to causing the many and varied crises provoked and instigated by such foreign and domestic global powers, and with malice and forethought and in line with the purposes, interests, and final aims of said foreign and domestic global powers, and with the aid of big media propagandize the people against their own economic and political interests, a peaceful coexistence among themselves and other nations, and systematically and malice and forethought, disinforming, misinforming, and malinforming or hiding their true aims and intentions and their consequences. J'accuse our current leaders, political, cultural, religious in the West, of systematically lying to the people, thus betraying their interests which they have sworn to serve. J'accuse them also of themselves causing or of following instructions by transnational global foreign and domestic powers whom they obsequiously serve to cause a long series of offenses and crimes against the interests and well-being of their own people by pursuing policies the people never approved or were informed about, and which the people continued to fight against so that justice and the rule of law might once again prevail and the popular will of the people be restored so that the people may be actively involved in deciding the future of their nation. J'accuse our current elected and appointed leaders in the West, political, cultural, religious, of having betrayed their oath of office and the mandates on which they were elected and the trust bestowed upon them, and by blindly or knowingly and willingly agreeing to receive, whether by persuasion, dissuasion, fear, or outright blackmail, and subsequently to enforce laws, rules, determinations, directives that go contrary to the interests and well-being of the nation and its people. In matters of health, j'accuse our current leaders, political, cultural, religious in the West, of not respecting and disregarding or outright ignoring true and reliable scientific data, of failing to have spoken out against global powers, foreign and domestic, and of having contributed to sanctioning the obscurantism, confusion, fear and terror surrounding the health decisions taken. J'accuse them further of not having exercised the parliamentary control required by their office on the expenditure and other sundry inconsiderate commitments, thus burdening the interests of the nation as a whole, and more specifically the youth of today and future generations yet to be born. He accused them further of ratifying or seeking to validate laws contrary to the constitution of the country, of favoring or seeking to favor a sickness economy that might benefit large global industries to the detriment of the health of the population, an abusive overprescription of medicines, one of the main causes of physical and psychological ill health in the West, of ministers, secretaries of health, and others having led the biggest economic and social health scam in modern history, having promoted an experimental gene therapy on the whole population without first having conducted sufficient research, misleading the population by means of slogans. All statements and declarations on safety, effectiveness, and lack of danger should have been accompanied by appropriate reservations and informed consent, and their validity verified as required by professional and ethical standards. Of breach of duty for not having censored early slogans that would protect the state rather than its citizens. J'accuse further still nation-states in the West of having protected false and misleading declarations on the effectiveness of medical procedures and the absence as to their side effects. Professional medical associations of having cooperated fully in this scam by causing fear and terror to reign among patients and doctors, of having forced doctors and pharmacists to violate their oaths and codes of ethics and professional conduct by means of overt or covert coercion, preventing them from providing the necessary care for patients and contributing to the banning from their ranks of doctors and pharmacists faithful to their commitments, vocation, oaths, and professionalism. J'accuse further many opinion leaders in the West of having attempted to discredit others by caricaturing some of the best recognized scientists in the world in the field of infectious diseases, while they themselves were given ample access to television networks and purposefully not allowing a sufficient number of opposing views to counteract theirs in order to mislead the population. J'accuse doctors of having failed in their mission, first in the spirit and respect for their Hippocratic oath, first do no harm, scientific journals for publishing what should have been at the time still unpublishable, best proof of that dishonesty, the articles published and then retracted. On the social, cultural, legal, educational sphere, j'accuse lawyers and magistrates of contributing to the application of partisan justice and of having contributed to the violation of the justice system being neutral and independent, having shown to have taken a clear, protective, or even partial political approach on decisions taken and judgments delivered. J'accuse them further of applying the law according to variable and varying geometrical grids and constant and continuous adjustments, adaptations, and accommodations. J'accuse psychologists of contributing to the misuse of their expertise and knowledge to harm the human mind. J'accuse economists and officers of budgets of having increased the national debt to abysmal heights, to pursue interests foreign to those of the people and the nation state, thus impoverishing the nation with unlimited debt, and so also the destiny of its people, those living and those yet to be born. J'accuse ministers of the interior or internal affairs or home offices of contributing to the totally unjustified and oftentimes lethal violence used against citizens of their nation state when peacefully insisting on peacefully exercising their duties and obligations according to natural and moral law and their civil rights according to their country's constitution, human charters, and Bill of Rights. J'accuse ministers and departments for education of contributing to the weakening and lowering of educational standards, mainly by using the lowest common denominator, scrapping merit, industry application, and aptitude, leading to intellectual impoverishment. And B, inciting and cajoling children to debauchery by means of programs targeting the young and the very young to exposure to sexual libertinism and depravity on subjects wholly inappropriate to as yet unformed minds and souls. J'accuse ministers and ministries and departments of agriculture contributing to causing the destitution, precariousness, penury and bankruptcy of national and local farmers for the benefit of global powers and with a global ideology very distinct from the values upon which our nations were built. J'accuse political parties in the West of pacting, directly or indirectly, with seats of power, foreign and domestic, to serve others and their own personal interests and career promotion to the detriment of the nation. J'accuse big and subsidized media outlets in the West of serving transnational financial oligarchies, hence openly misleading people with outright lies or half-truths, more difficult to detect, of their continual attempts to eliminate opposing voices, qualifying different understandings and approaches as conspiracies by means of open sarcasm and censure, whilst carefully avoiding themselves rational referenced arguments. On politics and geopolitics. The peoples of any given nation can only vote for their national representatives. Decisions, however, are made at a transnational level by unelected mystery people well above the nation state, to which citizens of individual nation states have no access, cannot vote for or against, and can therefore exercise no influence or control. J'accuse our current leaders, political, cultural, religious, in the West, of irresponsible decision-making contrary to each country's constitution, of contempt and disregard for the needs, interests, and well-being of their specific nations whom they have sworn to serve. Consequently, j'accuse them further of failing to seek a geopolitical balance of power in the world, hence contributing to taking their countries to the brink of nuclear annihilation and the extinction of human existence. Vale. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.